an official prequel novel to The Batman before The Batman has been released. So let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Sean and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much, but today we will be talking about a book way too much. And with that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comment section if you've read it, if you're curious about it, if you have thoughts about it. Let me know what you thought down below in the comment section. As a point of reference, I saw The Batman yesterday, and once it was over, hopped in my car, bought the audiobook, and started listening to it on the way home. Now, my review of The Batman is under embargo until Monday, so I can't say anything about it, but I do have some thoughts about the book. And as I just said, it's from the perspective of someone who has actually seen the movie. If you want to listen to the audiobook for free, go to audibletrial.com/Sean Chandler. Sign up for a free 30-day trial of Audible and you'll get a free audiobook, and you can get Before the Batman as your free audiobook. This is an affiliate link, so it does help out the channel if you decide to check it out. But if you want to listen to it, you can do so for free at that link down below. And let's get started talking about the book. To give you a quick summary of what the book is without going into any specifics, it's a very short novel. The audiobook is only about 2 hours long, and it basically tells the story of both Bruce Wayne and Riddler leading up to the events of the film. It's broken up into 2 parts. Part 1 tells a story from each of their lives from when they were teenagers, and then part 2 tells a story about each of them a couple of years before the events of the film. It's intended to give you background about each of them, their backstory, fill in some details, and sort of tell their origin stories. From there, let's get started with the good. And I like origin stories. I like stories of becoming, and that's sort of what this is. It gives you a glimpse into the teenage years of Bruce Wayne and what he was slowly doing to kind of hone his skills. How did Alfred play into that? And then you get the second half, which tells kind of an early story about him trying to be the Batman and what that looked like. And then it fills in some gaps in the middle. So you get a little bit about his training, a little bit about Alfred's background and why he had a certain set of skills. You learn about Bruce Wayne's education, and just answers some questions about Bruce Wayne that aren't really addressed in the movie, because that's not what the movie is about. Likewise, because it's only 2 hours, it moves very quickly. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It knows what it's there to deliver. It delivers it quickly, and then it moves on. From there, let's move on to the bad. And the big issue here is the length. Once again, it's good that it moves at a brisk pace and doesn't overstay its welcome, but when you have 2 lead characters and you're telling 2 stories about each of them, plus answering a series of other questions about different points in time in their life in only 2 hours, inherently that's superficial. Inherently means the stories are simplistic. There's not a lot of twists and turns. There's not a lot of details. There's not a lot of character growth. You're just getting glimpses into their life, informing some information with a story that's good enough. It's interesting enough, but it's not like it's telling some compelling Riddler story, some compelling Batman story, or an amazing origin story. You're just getting a good enough story to answer some questions while moving very quickly through your story. Likewise with the background details and information about Alfred, it's stated, but it's not really explored. There's just not enough time to go into any detail about all of it. So you learn something, not as much as I would have liked to have learned. The other big issue here is I think it was a mistake to include the Riddler. Without going into any specifics about the movie itself, as you can see from the trailer, it's a mystery story. It's about an investigation into what the Riddler is doing. And with mysteries, you want to learn information at the same time as the characters in the story. And if you read this book first, you have more information about the Riddler than the characters have at the beginning of the story. And I think that just kind of cheapens the experience just a little bit. And that's why I chose not to read it and listen to it until after the movie came out, because I didn't want to know anything. I didn't want any kind of preconceived notions about these characters going in. There's also a little bit of crossover between Bruce Wayne and Riddler's stories in a way that came out kind of fan fiction-y to me. Just a little bit. It doesn't overdo it, but there's just a little bit that just had that fan fiction flavor to it. And the simple fact that the Riddler was there meant that there was less time with Bruce Wayne, and I would have liked more time with Bruce Wayne to either learn more about his training, learn more about Alfred's background, have more details in the adventures that he does have, and instead we got information about the Riddler that I don't think informs us all that much about anything that we needed. So I think it was a mistake to include Riddler in these stories. So in closing, I'm glad I listened to it. It was worth 2 hours of my time, but a lot of people will find it superfluous. If you're a completionist, if you like origin stories, if you just want to know more details about the background of this Batman, this Riddler, it will give that to you and it won't overstay its welcome. But this is not a great Batman story. It's not an in-depth narrative with amazing themes and character studies. That's just not what this is. And so if you need a strong narrative, probably can sit this one out. But if you want a little bit more information about this version of the Batman, it's a nice, simple 2-hour companion to the film, and I appreciated it for what it was. If you are interested in it, my recommendation is to listen to it, read it after seeing the movie, because from my perspective, it gives more information about the Riddler than I would have wanted to have prior to seeing the film. Remember, you can listen to the audiobook for free at that link down below in the description, audibletrial.com/Sean Chandler. Sign up for a free trial of Audible and you can get this book for free and listen to it. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies and TV and books way too much.